There are people walking through life carrying a pain no one can see. They smile when they have to. They speak when necessary. They may seem quiet, distant, reserved, or simply private, but beneath that surface is often a storm of fear, shame, and longing that few ever understand. They want connection, but reaching for it feels dangerous. They want to be accepted, but every social moment can feel like standing in front of judgment. They want to be seen, but being seen can feel unbearable. This is the hidden emotional world many people experience when living with avoidant personality disorder. It is not simply being shy, it is not laziness, it is not arrogance, it is not someone choosing to stay alone. It is a deeply rooted psychological pattern built around fear of rejection, fear of criticism, and fear of emotional pain. And for those who live with it, the world can feel like a place where one wrong word, one awkward moment, or one disappointed look can confirm every insecurity they already carry inside. Many people suffer for years without knowing what they are dealing with. They may believe they are broken. They may think they were just born different. They may watch others build friendships, relationships, careers, and confidence while wondering why everything seems so much harder for them. They often blame themselves for struggles that run much deeper than simple confidence issues. And because their pain is usually silent, others may never realize how much energy it takes just to survive ordinary situations. Imagine wanting friendship, but feeling frozen every time you try to speak. Imagine craving love, but believing that if someone truly knows you, they will leave. Imagine wanting success, but avoiding opportunities because the possibility of failure feels unbearable. Imagine replaying every conversation in your mind, searching for signs that you embarrassed yourself. Imagine carrying loneliness while also fearing the very closeness that could heal it. That is the contradiction many people live with every day. Avoidant personality disorder is a recognized mental health condition marked by intense social inhibition, feelings of inadequacy, hypersensitivity to criticism, and patterns of avoiding relationships or situations because of fear of rejection. It does not mean a person lacks feelings. In many cases, they feel deeply. It does not mean they do not care. Often they care too much. It does not mean they want to be isolated. Many desperately want connection but feel trapped behind invisible walls. These walls are not built from pride. They are built from pain. Somewhere along the way, the mind learned that closeness could hurt, mistakes could humiliate, and vulnerability could lead to rejection. So avoidance became protection. Staying quiet felt safer than speaking. Staying distant felt safer than trusting. Staying hidden felt safer than being judged. What begins as protection can slowly become a prison. One of the most painful parts of this disorder is how misunderstood it is. Many people see someone who declines invitations, avoids eye contact, keeps conversations short, or disappears from relationships and assume they are rude, cold, disinterested, or antisocial. But often the truth is very different. Inside, that person may be overthinking every word they said. They may be afraid they are bothering others. They may be convinced they are unwanted. They may desperately want to join in but feel emotionally paralyzed. Some people confuse this condition with introversion, but introversion simply means someone may recharge alone or prefer less stimulation. A person with this disorder is not merely preferring solitude. They may feel intense distress about social situations and deep sadness over missed connection. They may isolate not because they enjoy it, but because fear feels stronger than desire. Others confuse it with ordinary low confidence, but this goes beyond moments of insecurity. It becomes a life pattern. It can shape career choices, friendships, dating, daily routines, and even identity. A person may stop trying long before opportunities arrive because they already assume rejection is waiting. They may silence their own needs before anyone can dismiss them. They may reject themselves first, so the world does not get the chance. At the core of this struggle is one powerful fear: rejection. For many people, rejection stings and then passes. For someone dealing with avoidant patterns, rejection can feel catastrophic. A simple criticism may echo for days. A neutral expression may be interpreted as dislike. A delayed message may feel like abandonment. A small awkward moment may become proof that they are flawed. Because the nervous system often lives in a state of emotional threat, even ordinary interactions can feel dangerous. This fear can become so strong that the person begins avoiding situations before anything bad even happens. They may not apply for jobs they want. They may avoid conversations with people they admire. They may stay silent in groups despite having valuable thoughts. They may decline invitations they secretly wish they could accept. They may end relationships before intimacy deepens, not because they do not care, but because caring feels risky. There is a heartbreaking loneliness in that pattern. Watching life from the outside while wanting to participate, seeing others connect naturally while feeling blocked by invisible chains, knowing you have love to give but feeling unable to express it, wanting to be chosen while believing you never will be. This pain is rarely loud. It often hides behind silence. Many people with these struggles become experts at masking. They may appear functional, calm, even detached. They may go to work, complete responsibilities, and say very little about what they feel. But inside, simple moments can feel exhausting. A meeting may trigger dread. A text message may cause anxiety. Being introduced to someone new may create hours of overthinking. Even compliments can feel uncomfortable if they conflict with the negative self-image they carry. When people do not understand this condition, they often give advice that sounds simple but misses the depth of the pain. Just be confident. Stop caring what people think. Put yourself out there. Everyone gets nervous. While well-intended, these words can make someone feel even more defective, because if it were that easy, they would have done it already. What they often need is not pressure but understanding, not judgment but safety, not dismissal but compassion. There are signs that can reveal when someone may be struggling in this way. They may avoid new social situations unless they feel certain they will be accepted. They may hold back in relationships even when they deeply care. They may be extremely sensitive to criticism or disapproval. They may see themselves as socially inadequate, unattractive, or unworthy. They may avoid risks because embarrassment feels unbearable. They may crave closeness but keep distance once someone gets near. They may cancel plans at the last minute because anxiety becomes too intense. They may rehearse conversations before speaking. They may replay interactions afterward and criticize themselves harshly. They may compare themselves constantly to others and come up short every time. They may remain in loneliness longer than they wish because reaching out feels terrifying. They may love people quietly from afar rather than risk being known. And yet, despite all this pain, many people with avoidant traits are deeply caring individuals. Often they are thoughtful, sensitive, observant, and emotionally aware. Because they know what rejection feels like, they may be gentle with others. Because they understand loneliness, they may value genuine connection profoundly. Because they feel so much beneath the surface, they often possess depth that the world overlooks. The tragedy is not that they have no heart. It is that fear often blocks the heart from being expressed. The tragedy is not that they do not want love. It is that love can feel dangerous. The tragedy is not that they lack worth. It is that they struggle to believe it. If any part of this feels familiar, it does not mean you are doomed. It does not mean you are weak. It does not mean this is all you will ever be. Avoidance is often a strategy the mind created to survive pain, but survival strategies can be unlearned, fear patterns can be healed, self-image can be rebuilt, trust can be learned slowly, safely, and step by step. The first breakthrough is recognizing that your struggle has meaning. There is a reason you react the way you do. There is a reason closeness feels complicated. There is a reason criticism cuts so deeply. Understanding replaces shame. And once shame begins to loosen its grip, healing can begin. You are not simply too sensitive. You are not simply bad with people. You are not simply meant to be alone. Those are stories pain tells when it has gone unchallenged for too long. Beneath the fear is a person who still wants to connect, still wants to grow, still wants to be loved. And that person is still there, waiting behind the walls. Sometimes the strongest people are not the loudest ones in the room. Sometimes they are the ones who carry invisible battles every day and keep going anyway. Sometimes they are the ones who long for closeness even while fear tells them to run. Sometimes they are the ones learning, little by little, that safety can exist in connection. If this is your struggle, you are not alone. If this is someone you love, they are not rejecting life as much as they may be protecting themselves from pain. And if healing feels far away, remember this: walls built by fear can be dismantled by patience, understanding, and courage taken one small step at a time. Walls built by fear do not appear overnight. They are usually shaped slowly, layer by layer, through moments that taught the heart it was safer to hide than to be seen. And to truly understand this struggle, it is important to see the difference between ordinary shyness and something much deeper. Many people are shy at times. They may feel nervous before meeting new people, speaking in front of a group, or entering unfamiliar situations. But with time, encouragement, or comfort, that nervousness often fades. Shyness can soften as trust grows. A shy person may still move forward despite discomfort. They may blush, hesitate, or feel awkward, but they are still able to build connections and gradually adapt. Avoidant personality disorder reaches deeper than that. It is not just nervousness in the moment, it becomes a lens through which life is viewed. The person often expects rejection before anything has happened. They may believe criticism is inevitable. They may assume others will notice every flaw, every awkward pause, every imperfection. Because of that belief, situations many people consider normal can feel emotionally dangerous. A shy person might be nervous to attend a gathering. Someone with avoidant patterns may spend days worrying about it, imagining humiliation, comparing themselves to everyone who might be there, then canceling at the last minute and feeling ashamed afterward. A shy person may feel hesitant to speak to someone attractive. Someone with avoidance struggles may convince themselves they are unworthy before even trying. A shy person may need time to warm up. Someone with deep avoidance may remain guarded even after kindness is shown, because fear has become part of identity. That is why telling someone to just be confident often misses the point. Confidence is difficult to access when the inner world is built around emotional danger. If every interaction feels like a test, you are destined to fail. Courage becomes harder to reach. If every mistake feels like proof of worthlessness, trying itself can feel unbearable. And where do these patterns often begin? For many, the roots trace back to early experiences that quietly shape the nervous system. Childhood is where we first learn whether the world feels safe, whether mistakes are survivable, whether emotions are welcome, and whether we are lovable as we are. When those lessons are painful, the mind adapts. Some grew up with constant criticism. Every small mistake was magnified. Nothing felt good enough. Over time, the child learned that being visible invites judgment, so hiding became safer than trying. Some experienced rejection from peers. Being excluded, bullied, mocked, or humiliated during vulnerable years can leave deep emotional imprints. The child may begin believing, if people truly see me, they will hurt me. That belief can follow them into adulthood, long after the original people are gone. Some were raised in emotionally cold environments, where love felt conditional. Praise may have been rare, comfort may have been absent, feelings may have been dismissed. The child learns not only to suppress emotion, but to doubt their own value. Some lived in unpredictable homes where criticism, anger, or instability appeared without warning. In such environments, hypervigilance develops. The child becomes skilled at scanning moods, avoiding mistakes, shrinking themselves to stay safe. Later in life, that same vigilance may appear in social situations as overthinking, anxiety, and withdrawal. And sometimes there was no dramatic trauma at all, just years of subtle emotional wounds. Being compared constantly, feeling unseen, being the quiet child no one noticed, growing up believing others mattered more. Pain does not need to be loud to be life-shaping. When these early experiences repeat enough times, they stop feeling like experiences and start feeling like truth. I am not enough. I am unlikable. I embarrass myself. Others belong more than I do. If I open up, I'll regret it. These beliefs are rarely spoken aloud, but they often guide every decision. Yet one of the most painful contradictions in this disorder is this: the person still longs for love. They may want connection with all their heart. They may imagine close friendships, emotional safety, shared laughter, romance, belonging. They may dream of being fully known and accepted. But when closeness begins to appear, fear rises just as strongly as desire. This creates an exhausting inner conflict. Part of them says, "Go closer." Another part says, "Run before you get hurt." Part of them wants to text back immediately. Another part overthinks every word until silence feels easier. Part of them wants intimacy. Another part believes intimacy ends in rejection, so they live in a painful middle space, hungry for connection, but frightened of the very thing they need. This is why many people with avoidant patterns can seem confusing in relationships. They may show warmth one moment, distance the next. They may crave reassurance, then withdraw when it is offered. They may deeply care for someone, yet struggle to express it consistently. They may want to be chosen, while simultaneously pushing others away. It is not because they enjoy games, it is not because they lack feelings, it is because closeness activates wounds they may not even fully understand. Imagine wanting water while fearing the river. That is what love can feel like for them. Relationships often carry intense emotional meaning. A delayed reply may trigger fear of abandonment. A small misunderstanding may feel like proof the bond is ending. A partner frustration may feel catastrophic rather than manageable. Because the person often carries a fragile self-image, relationship tension can strike directly at identity. Some avoid dating entirely because rejection feels too painful. Some stay emotionally unavailable to people they care about because vulnerability feels dangerous. Some attach deeply but silently, loving from a distance rather than risking exposure. Some enter relationships then panic when real intimacy grows. They may think, if they get too close they'll see who I really am. And because they believe that hidden self is flawed, distance can feel safer than discovery. Friendships can be affected in similar ways. They may long to be included but wait for invitations that never come because others assume disinterest. They may care deeply about friends but rarely initiate contact out of fear of bothering them. They may disappear when life gets stressful, then feel ashamed and unable to return. They may envy people who socialize effortlessly while carrying loneliness in silence. Family relationships can also feel complex. If early wounds came from home, family contact may trigger old insecurities. Even loving families may not fully understand why the person seems distant, guarded, or hard to reach. Beneath that distance is often a history of feeling unseen or unsafe, and then comes one of the most misunderstood behaviors of all, pulling away from people who care. Many ask, if they care, why do they disappear? Because care can feel dangerous. When someone matters deeply, the risk of loss becomes real. When affection is offered, the fear of disappointing someone grows. When closeness increases, the chance of being seen feels threatening. For a person with avoidant patterns, emotional investment can awaken every old wound at once, so they withdraw, not always consciously. Sometimes it happens automatically. Replies slow down, vulnerability decreases, plans are cancelled, silence grows. The nervous system interprets closeness as risk and chooses distance as protection. Sadly, this often creates the very outcome they fear. Others feel confused, rejected, or exhausted. Relationships weaken. Then the avoidant person feels shame and says to themselves, "I knew it." People leave. The cycle repeats. They fear rejection, so they distance. Distance damages connection. Connection weakens, and loss occurs. Loss confirms the fear. This is why avoidance can feel self-fulfilling, but it is important to understand something compassionate and true. Many people pulling away are not trying to hurt others. They are trying to regulate pain with the only strategy they know. Silence becomes anesthesia. Distance becomes control. Withdrawal becomes temporary relief. Yet relief is short-lived, because loneliness always returns. There are moments when they sit alone wishing they had answered the message, wishing they had said how they felt, wishing they had trusted someone who cared. Wishing fear had not spoken louder than the heart, and those moments can be deeply painful, because beneath avoidance is often grief, not only grief over relationships lost, but grief over the life they might have lived if fear had not led so many decisions, the friendships they wanted, the love they almost accepted, the opportunities they nearly took, the version of themselves they were never allowed to become. But even here hope exists, because patterns learned through pain can be unlearned through safety. A person who once withdrew can learn to stay present a little longer. A person who expected rejection can learn to question old assumptions. A person who feared being known can slowly experience acceptance. Healing rarely begins with grand transformations. It begins in small moments, sending the message instead of deleting it, showing up despite anxiety, allowing a compliment to land, staying in a conversation after feeling awkward, letting someone care without immediately retreating, speaking kindly to yourself after a mistake. These moments may look tiny to others, but for someone healing avoidant wounds, they are acts of courage. If you recognize yourself in this struggle, know this: your desire for love was never the problem. Your fear was shaped by pain, not destiny. You are not difficult to love. You are someone who learned to survive in ways that now need gentleness, patience, and healing. And if you love someone like this, remember that distance is not always indifference. Silence is not always lack of care. Sometimes it is fear wearing the mask of withdrawal. Behind many closed doors is a heart that still hopes someone will understand enough to knock softly. And behind many quiet eyes is a person still wondering whether closeness can ever feel safe. And behind many quiet eyes is a person still wondering whether closeness can ever feel safe. To understand that question, we have to step into the private world they carry inside, because some of the hardest battles in avoidant personality disorder are not fought with other people at all. They are fought in silence, within the mind, every single day. The outside world may only see hesitation, withdrawal, or distance, but inside there is often a relentless inner voice. A voice that judges before anyone else can judge. A voice that predicts rejection before anyone has spoken. A voice that turns ordinary moments into emotional threats. Before entering a room, it may whisper, "You do not belong here." Before speaking, it may say, "They will think that sounds stupid." After a conversation, it may replay every word and ask, "Why did you say that?" When someone is kind, it may insist, "They are just being polite." When opportunity appears, it may warn, "You will fail and embarrass yourself." This inner dialogue can become so constant that the person no longer hears it as fear. They hear it as truth. That is one of the cruelest parts of this disorder. The person is not only afraid of rejection from others, they are often rejected first by their own mind. Many carry a harsh self-image that formed long ago. They may see themselves as socially awkward, inferior, unattractive, boring, incapable, or fundamentally flawed. Even when evidence contradicts these beliefs, the old identity can feel stronger than reality. Someone may compliment them, yet they dismiss it. Someone may enjoy their company, yet they assume pity. Someone may offer love, yet they wait for abandonment. Someone may believe in them, yet they cannot borrow that belief for themselves. This inner world affects far more than relationships. It often shapes career, success, money, ambition, and life direction. Many people with avoidant patterns are intelligent, capable, creative, and deeply thoughtful, but talent often remains hidden when fear controls expression. They may avoid applying for jobs they are qualified for because interviews feel terrifying. They may stay in positions far beneath their ability because visibility feels unsafe. They may avoid leadership because being noticed invites scrutiny. They may silence ideas in meetings because speaking risks judgment. Imagine having gifts but feeling unable to reveal them. Imagine watching less capable people move ahead simply because they are less afraid. Imagine knowing you could do more while feeling frozen every time the chance arrives. This creates a private heartbreak that few understand. Some people with these struggles become experts at settling for less, not because they lack potential, but because emotional safety becomes more important than growth. They may choose the familiar over the fulfilling, the hidden over the possible, the small over the meaningful, and each time fear wins, the self-image often deepens. See, I am not made for more, but the truth is different. They are often made for more than they realize. Fear has simply been occupying the space where confidence was meant to grow. This same pattern can appear in education, business, art, and purpose. A person may have ideas they never share, dreams they never pursue, talents they never train, messages they never speak. Not because the potential is absent, but because visibility feels dangerous. There is also the loneliness no one sees. People often think loneliness only means having no one around, but there is a deeper kind of loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people while feeling emotionally unreachable, being invited but unable to relax, being loved but unable to receive it, being seen physically while feeling hidden psychologically. That loneliness can be intense. Some sit in rooms full of laughter and feel separate. Some scroll through other people's lives wondering what is wrong with them. Some crave a simple, safe connection more than wealth, status, or success. Some lie awake replaying years of missed chances and silent desires. Some become so used to isolation that they stop talking about it, even to themselves. The world often notices loud pain. Quiet pain can go invisible for years. But invisibility does not mean absence. It means suffering without witnesses. And yet, despite how deep these patterns can run, the most important question is this: can avoidant personality disorder be healed? The answer is not instant, magical, or simplistic, but it is hopeful. Yes, people can heal, people can change, people can loosen the grip of avoidance and build lives that feel more connected, confident, and free. Healing does not usually mean becoming the loudest person in the room. It does not mean never feeling anxiety again. It does not mean transforming into someone else. Healing means becoming more yourself without fear controlling every doorway. It means speaking when you once stayed silent, trying when you once withdrew, receiving care when you once distrusted it, taking risks that align with your values, feeling discomfort without letting it define you, believing you deserve space in the world. Healing often begins with awareness. The person starts recognizing that the voice in their mind is not objective truth. It is an old protective system shaped by pain. Once that becomes clear, shame begins to weaken. Then comes practice. Because avoidance shrinks life through repetition, healing expands life through repetition too. Each time someone stays present in a feared situation, the nervous system learns something new. Each time they survive awkwardness, the catastrophe story weakens. Each time they express themselves and remain safe, confidence grows. Each time they tolerate vulnerability, connection becomes less threatening. This is why progress may look small from the outside, but feel monumental inside. Attending one social event, making one phone call, telling one honest truth, applying for one opportunity, letting one person know they matter, remaining in one uncomfortable moment instead of escaping it. These are not tiny victories, they are rewiring moments. Of course, healing is rarely linear. There may be setbacks, withdrawal phases, self-doubt, and days when old fears feel loud again. That does not mean failure. It means the nervous system is learning a new language after years of speaking fear fluently. Professional treatment can make a powerful difference. Therapy often helps because many avoidant patterns were formed in relationship wounds and can be healed through corrective relational experiences. A skilled therapist provides something many never consistently had: safety without judgment. One effective approach is cognitive behavioral therapy. This helps identify distorted beliefs such as "everyone will reject me" or "one mistake ruins everything," and replace them with more realistic thinking. It also includes gradual behavioral steps that reduce avoidance. Another valuable path is schema-focused work, which explores deeper lifelong beliefs formed in childhood. Beliefs like defectiveness, emotional deprivation, or failure. This can be especially powerful when the pain feels rooted in identity. Trauma-informed therapy can help those whose avoidance comes from bullying, chronic criticism, unstable homes, or emotional wounds that taught the body to expect danger. Group therapy can also be transformative when done safely. For someone who fears judgment, experiencing acceptance in a group setting can challenge years of assumptions. Sometimes medication may help with coexisting anxiety or depression, especially when symptoms are intense. While medication alone may not resolve core patterns, it can reduce the emotional volume enough for deeper healing work to begin. But healing is not only clinical, it also happens in daily life. It happens when someone practices self-compassion instead of self-attack, when they stop calling themselves broken, when they choose one brave act a day, when they allow relationships to grow slowly instead of demanding perfection, when they stop measuring themselves by extroverted standards, when they honor sensitivity as a trait, not a flaw, when they grieve the years fear stole and then choose not to surrender the years ahead. If you are in this struggle, hear this clearly. You are not behind because you moved slowly. You are not weak because rejection hurt deeply. You are not less worthy because confidence was harder for you to build. You adapted to pain in the best way you knew how. Now you are allowed to adapt to healing. And if you love someone with these patterns, know that encouragement matters more than pressure. Patience matters more than pushing. Safety matters more than criticism. Many people bloom not when forced into the light, but when they trust the light will not burn them. The person who avoids may secretly be carrying enormous courage already. The courage of surviving daily battles no one else can see. The courage of wanting connection despite fear. The courage of hoping after disappointment. The courage of trying again after years of hiding. Sometimes the world only celebrates visible bravery, but invisible bravery counts too. And for many people healing from avoidance, the bravest thing they will ever do is allow themselves to be known. And for many people healing from avoidance, the bravest thing they will ever do is allow themselves to be known. That is why the role of loved ones matters more than many realize. Because when someone has spent years expecting criticism, rejection, or emotional danger, the people around them can either reinforce those wounds or become part of the healing. What loved ones should never do is shame them for struggling. Many people think pressure creates growth. They say things like, "Why are you so quiet? Just get over it. Stop being weird. You're too sensitive. What is wrong with you?" They may laugh at hesitation, criticize social discomfort, or compare them to more outgoing people. Those words may seem small to the speaker, but they often land heavily on someone already fighting harsh self-judgment inside. What sounds like motivation can become confirmation of their deepest fear: "I am defective." Mocking withdrawal does not create confidence. Humiliating fear does not create courage. Forcing exposure without emotional safety does not create healing. It usually creates more retreat. Another mistake loved ones make is taking distance personally every time it happens. While boundaries are important, it helps to understand that withdrawal is often a stress response, not always rejection. Sometimes the person disappears because they feel overwhelmed, ashamed, overstimulated, or convinced they are a burden. That does not mean unhealthy behavior should be endlessly excused. It means interpretation matters. If every struggle is labeled selfishness, the person often sinks deeper into shame. If every silence is met with anger, silence may grow stronger. What also hurts is inconsistency. Warmth one day, criticism the next, acceptance one week, rejection the next. For someone who already expects instability, mixed signals can intensify fear and distrust. So what helps instead? Patience, gentle consistency, calm honesty, respect for boundaries while encouraging growth, reassurance without enabling avoidance. The most healing relationships often create an atmosphere where the person does not have to perform worthiness. They are not loved only when confident, not valued only when outgoing, not respected only when impressive. They are accepted as human, flawed, growing, learning, sometimes afraid. That kind of safety can be life-changing. Support does not mean rescuing someone from every discomfort. It means standing beside them while they face discomfort. It means saying, "I know this is hard, and I believe you can do hard things." It may mean celebrating steps others would overlook, replying to a message, attending a gathering for 30 minutes, speaking up once in a meeting, sharing a feeling honestly, trying again after canceling before. These moments deserve recognition because they are evidence of courage in motion. If you love someone with avoidant patterns, speak carefully, not because they are fragile, but because words can either water growth or feed old wounds. Try replacing judgment with curiosity. Instead of "Why are you like this?" ask, "What feels hard right now?" Instead of "Just do it," ask, "How can I support you?" Instead of "You never care," ask, "Are you overwhelmed?" Sometimes being understood becomes the bridge to change. And yet, even in all this struggle, there are strengths hidden inside avoidant personalities that the world often misses. Many of these individuals are deeply empathetic. Because they know pain, they often recognize pain in others quickly. They can sense discomfort in a room. They notice emotional shifts many overlook. Many are thoughtful before speaking. In a loud world, their reflection can carry wisdom. Many are loyal once trust is earned, because trust is not given casually. When they love, it often has depth. Many are humble. They do not always need attention, status, or spotlight. Many are observant. Years of scanning environments may create sharp intuition. Many are creative. Rich inner worlds often develop where outer expression felt unsafe. Many value authenticity. Surface-level performance may never satisfy them, because they know what hidden pain looks like. The tragedy is that these strengths are often buried beneath fear, but buried is not erased. Sensitivity, when healed, becomes emotional intelligence. Caution, when balanced, becomes discernment. Depth, when expressed, becomes connection. Reflection, when guided well, becomes wisdom. Even gentleness, something the world sometimes dismisses, can become rare power. What if the traits you judged in yourself were unfinished strengths? What if your sensitivity was never weakness, only pain without support? What if your quietness contained insight waiting for safety? What if your hesitation was courage still learning to trust itself? Recovery often begins when people stop seeing themselves only through the lens of what is wrong and start asking what is still possible. So what does recovery actually look like over time? It may not look dramatic at first. It may look like fewer cancelled plans, less rumination after conversations, more willingness to be imperfect publicly, greater tolerance for awkward moments, applying for opportunities once avoided, setting boundaries instead of disappearing, receiving compliments without deflecting immediately, texting first sometimes, saying how you feel before resentment or fear builds, allowing yourself to take up space. Recovery may also look internal before it looks external. The inner critic becomes quieter. Shame loses authority. Self-respect grows roots. Hope returns in small waves. The future feels less closed. You begin noticing that not everyone is judging you. Not every mistake defines you. Not every silence means rejection. Not every relationship ends in pain. Not every room is hostile. Not every part of you needs fixing. Over time, identity changes. The person who once said, "I can't handle people," may one day say, "Some situations are hard, but I can handle discomfort." The person who once said, "No one would want me," may say, "I am learning to choose people who value me." The person who once hid constantly may still value solitude, but now from preference, not fear. That distinction matters. Healing is not becoming someone louder, it is becoming someone freer. There may still be sensitive days, there may still be moments of insecurity, there may still be situations that activate old fears. Growth does not erase humanity, but old patterns no longer own the steering wheel, and then comes perhaps the most important truth of all. You are not broken. You may have been hurt. You may have adapted in ways that once protected you. You may have learned fear before trust, shame before acceptance, hiding before belonging, but adaptation is not identity. Avoidance was something you learned. It is not who you are. Underneath the defenses is still a whole person, a person capable of love, capable of friendship, capable of success, capable of humor, depth, tenderness, brilliance, joy, capable of being seen and surviving it, capable of being chosen and believing it, capable of choosing themselves at last. There are people who will appreciate gentleness, people who value sincerity over performance, people who respect boundaries, people who understand quiet depth, people who do not need you to be louder, only real. And there is a future version of you who will be grateful you did not give up during the years fear felt strongest. Maybe right now you still overthink messages. Maybe you still avoid some rooms. Maybe rejection still stings more than you wish it did. Maybe loneliness still visits often. That does not mean nothing is changing. Sometimes healing is invisible before it becomes obvious. Sometimes roots grow underground long before flowers appear. Sometimes courage first looks like trembling. Sometimes progress first feels like discomfort. Sometimes the life you want begins the moment you stop asking fear for permission. So if you are listening to this and recognizing yourself, take one small step. Not 10 years ahead, not perfection, one honest step. Send the message, make the call, speak the truth, try again, ask for help, stay present 5 minutes longer, let someone care, forgive yourself for surviving the only way you knew how, then take another step tomorrow, and another after that, because walls built over years do not fall in a day, but they do fall, brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment, until one day the person who once lived hidden realizes something powerful. They were never too much. They were never not enough. They were never meant to stay behind those walls. They were meant to live beyond them.